Good evening. It is 6:07, so I will call the meeting to order. Welcome to the school committee meeting of May 14th, 2026. This meeting will be conducted in a hybrid format. All committee members are in person, but some of our guests may be remote. We'll have a roll call to confirm quorum. Colleen, you want to start?
Pradler here. Pursue here.
Wiseman here.
Loomis here.
Hamilton here.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
The meeting is open to the public and will be broadcast by ECAT. The school committee has elected to have a public comment period tonight pursuant to our policy to give people the opportunity to share their wishes and ideas. If any members of the public here in person want to make a comment during the public comment period, you will be invited to do so, and we ask you to state your name and address for the record. All remarks should be addressed to the full committee through the chair. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to state their comment, and we will allow for a total of 15 minutes. The public comment period is not a time for debate or for the school committee to respond to those comments. We welcome you to email us any questions or additional comments. So next item is student representative to the school committee update. Veronica.
Hi, so the school committee student advisors have been getting a lot of great feedback, and thankfully the students have all been providing great feedback as well. Our representative Brendan met with Mr. Carroll at EMS this morning, and they just finished up MCAS, I believe, on Monday and Tuesday, and then science is coming soon. They had another dance as well. They had their NJHS induction, and then their 8th grade farewell is coming shortly, and I'm sure that will be great. And then they're also working on reorganizing everything for next year for different teams and all of that. For Oliver Ames, our newest thing is that we've been implementing a new pass system to help students feel safer in the bathrooms, as well as to just make sure we're getting in and out of the bathrooms as efficiently as possible. And then our last update is that next Friday is seniors' last day, so we have a bunch of spirit days next week, and then a bunch of activities coming up soon. We have Oscar night, the boat cruise, monogram night, prom, graduation, all of those within the next couple of weeks. So very exciting.
Thank you very much. So tonight was the last Student Advisory Council meeting of the school year. I want to thank all the Student Advisory Council members, Bobby Anaki, Brendan Dolan, Leah Marie Avora, Lindsay Solomon, and of course, Veronica Shenoy, who has served on our committee all year. So we appreciate your dedication and thoughtful input. Your voices helped ensure that student perspectives are heard and valued, and your efforts demonstrate true leadership and commitment to improving our school community. We appreciate the time you have given us. We wish you and Lindsay the best on your graduation, and we can't wait to see what your future brings. And if any committee members want to say anything? I don't know. No? Dr. Cabral, Dr. Pruitt?
I'll just repeat what I said at our meeting prior to this one. It has been remarkable, even in this one school year, to see the growth in the reporting that they've done. Whether it's more comfort meeting with the students and the principals, or more comfort meeting with the school committee, or both, we could definitely see a difference in confidence and the depth, and really looking into what the students are sharing with them and choosing things of value. And it's been very informative for all of us, I think. And we really appreciate the time that you take to do it. It's obviously you're going to the schools, you are attending events, and we are really grateful to all of the students for what they put into it. It is very interesting what teenagers are able to get from different grades of students. That's different than even adults sometimes. And so we appreciate your advocacy for the students coming up behind you. And we know you're making really positive changes. Thank you, and congratulations to you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, personnel changes, retirements, Blanche Ames kindergarten teacher, Blanche Ames special education teacher. Dr. Cabral?
Okay, thanks. So the first one you have is Nancy Kamenecki. So Nancy, I met Nancy at Parkview. She has been a teacher here for more than 23 years. She then, of course, moved to Blanche Ames. Unfortunately, she couldn't join us this evening, but Nancy has been a dedicated, professional, very effective special education teacher. She has the perfect countenance, personality, patience, and as I always say, it's really difficult to see that kind of experience go out the door, but we are extremely grateful for her decades of service to some of our most vulnerable populations, and I wish her very well. You have her letter if you'd like to read it tonight.
After 23 years as a special education teacher at Parkview and Blanche A. Ames elementary schools, I will retire at the end of this academic year. When I started my career as a special education teacher for kindergarten through second grade, I love this letter, I thought my job was to teach students all about the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. I quickly realized that was just part of my responsibilities as an educator. My students taught me how important it is to build relationships and earn trust to develop a unique path to their personal success. This wasn't just about reading, writing, and arithmetic, but social growth, emotional safety, and how to communicate what they want and need. Humor was certainly part of the journey. My students also taught me that progress isn't always measured by a standardized test, but by the endurance it takes to try a task again and again. I am in awe of how hard these kiddos work. It has been my privilege to watch them grow. I leave Blanche Ames with so much gratitude for having had this opportunity. Over the years, I have said that special education is not a one-person job. The demands are ever-changing, and you have to be on all day. It takes a team of people to move a student forward. Working with families to provide the best learning experience for their child was an honor. I have been so fortunate to work with principals and special education coordinators who have supported me and trusted my judgment. To my fellow educators, thank you for being my partners in inclusivity. I am especially appreciative of the paraprofessionals who have been by my side through the years. Together, we didn't just teach, we created a community where every child felt seen and valued. The dedication that you have had for all students is not nearly recognized enough. While I am looking forward to what retirement has in store, saying goodbye to my students and the dedicated staff who support them is bittersweet. I am leaving this position forever changed by the littles that I have known along the way. They have taught me as much as I hope I have taught them, and I will carry those memories with me. I wish you all the best. With gratitude, Nancy Kamenecki. Does anyone want to say anything? No?
Mrs. K, as she was known, was the very first person to meet my daughter when she came to Parkview and was being evaluated. She was transferring from a Montessori school, and it could not have been a warmer, more special experience to be greeted and guided, and off she went happily and came back full of chatter about how amazing Mrs. K was. So I can only imagine how many kids' lives you've impacted. So thank you for all the service.
Thank you. So I will take a motion to accept with regret the retirement of Nancy Kamenecki.
So moved, Percio.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. Our second retiree this evening is here, Joan, or Joni McLaughlin. Again, I met Joni at Center School, and she has been in the district a mere 33 years. Joni has always had such a unique classroom to visit. She has such control and joy simultaneously in the room. Joni was particularly helpful to me, I would say, when we started to build the Blanche Ames Elementary School. I don't want to minimize her impact in the classroom, but I do have to highlight her efforts in making sure that Blanche Ames was really it is the best school in Massachusetts, and really tailored to the needs of our littles and the staff. We just had our post-occupancy meeting with the MSBA, and she continues to show up, and she gave valuable feedback again. So she has definitely left an indelible mark on many littles' lives, but also structurally in the Blanche Ames Elementary School, and we're very grateful for that. And again, wish you very many happy and healthy years in your retirement. You deserve it.
Dear Dr. Cabral and members of the school committee, it is with mixed emotions that I write to inform you of my retirement from the Easton Public Schools effective June 30th, 2026. I feel incredibly fortunate to have spent my entire career teaching in the same school system that I once attended as a student. It has been both a privilege and an honor to help provide a strong educational foundation for our youngest learners over the past 33 years. Teaching kindergarten has been a lifelong passion of mine, one that began when I was still in high school. Watching my students grow, developing academic and social skills, creating lasting friendships, and gaining confidence in themselves has been one of the most rewarding aspects of my career. Each day brought new adventures, opportunities for success, and meaningful challenges to overcome. I am deeply grateful for the many experiences I have had throughout my time in Easton. I have had the pleasure of working alongside exceptional colleagues who not only shared their knowledge and expertise, but also became dear friends. While I will deeply miss my students and colleagues, I am looking forward to the next chapter in the story of my life. Respectfully, Joni McLaughlin. It is a beautiful, and I love. So glad that you could be here with us tonight. Thank you so much.
I'm inviting her up if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course. Yep, right at the. Joni, you can go wherever you want.
Yes, wherever you want.
Never having
Yes.
done this before, this is kind of something new for me. Oh, I can see myself. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to teach in the town that I grew up in. And I know that was sent in my letter, but that was the first thing I could say. And I really could have written probably a 10-page letter of all the memories and experiences that I've had in the town of Easton and the people that I've worked with. There is nothing greater than the joy of teaching and showing or having an impact on a child's life and in their future. So I just hope that in the years to come that everybody continues to do that and work together, because it really is a passion to be teaching. And I'm forever grateful to Dr. Cabral for pushing forward with the Blanche James Elementary School, because that was such a necessary thing to happen. And when I was first hired in 1993, they were building RO, and they said, oh, and then we're going to do a new elementary school. And I waited and waited. And then there was junior high. And then there was a high school. I said, that's never going to happen in my career. So be able to experience that and to be in a building of that magnitude and to have all of the opportunities for the kids to be successful is really fabulous. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I just
Yeah,
say something? I'm
absolutely.
sorry. I just recently I had a parent say to me how upset they were that that they're not going to have the opportunity for their child to have you, and so he's a parent. That's right. But I just want to say that you have left such a legacy behind you, and I cannot thank you enough for all of your work. You have constantly, your understanding of developmentally appropriate practice, it defines kindergarten, and I just you can consult for the rest of your life, because you are the ideal kindergarten teacher, and you have done such a phenomenal job, and so thank you for everything that you've done for this district. Yes.
Okay, so I will take a motion to accept with regret the retirement of Joni McLaughlin.
So moved, Percio.
Second? Second. All in favor? Thank you so much. Okay, next item on the agenda, discussion and vote to appoint Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Cabral.
Thank you. So I am delighted to bring information to you this evening. We have been involved in a process to replace Dr. Pruitt as the assistant superintendent here in the Easton Public Schools. We did post the position. We had internal interest, and so we put together a committee, met with that committee, talked about the importance of this role, and I would like to, I'm going to reserve my comments because I would like to have Director DiNapoli come up as the Director of Human Resources to give you the details of exactly what happened and the timeline, and then I would like to make my formal recommendation when she's finished.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cabral, Dr. Pruitt, the school committee. Working with the interview committee was a wonderful and engaging process. It really is wonderful getting to know our community members, whether that is in the school or outside of the school. People who volunteer their time for this important process, identifying the next, for this particular assistant superintendent, but for the various roles we have committees for. We began with reviewing the role and responsibilities of the assistant superintendent and identifying the current needs of the district. From this discussion, and this is really an engaging discussion, it's talking about words and about direction and a vision of what we are today and where we want to be, not only 6 months from now, but 5 years from now. And from that discussion, pillars are created. And many of the people in this room have served on committees and understand that you identify areas, buckets, or pillars. And the ones we selected were leadership, vision, and strategic foundation, communication, relationships, and culture, and operational excellence and compliance. And from those categories, we develop interview questions. Now, developing interview questions, you reach out to your network, to other districts, and you have banks of questions. But then the group has the opportunity to customize and develop new questions to match those pillars, to really pull and identify the needs of, or identify the skills and experience of the candidate to match the pillars. While we're doing this, we're following processes with aligning with federal and state laws, making sure that we're in alignment with just procedures, ADA, civil rights, and that's very important not only in employment laws, but also in the Town of Easton. This was a collaborative and engaging process that led to the unanimous decision to move the internal candidate forward in the next steps in the process. I would like to thank the team, these individuals again, for their dedication to the time to volunteer for this. It's after long days of work, whether it was the parent volunteer or our teachers, our administrators, who, after working 8-10 hours a day are still coming in for even, to extend that day, is just, I'm so appreciative of that. And it's so easy to find people in this community willing to do that. So I personally thank them. It makes the process a little easier when you have such involvement. And of course, from my perspective, it's always a pleasure to be involved in this. And I thank everyone for their time. And being part of this process.
Thank you very much. So I will not bury the lead because people will probably know who I'm talking about very shortly. But the person that we interviewed was and is Ann Weintraub. She has 32 years of experience in this district after a stint in Chicago. When I first came to Easton, she had already been a teacher and a reading specialist, which really resonated with me. As a former literacy coordinator, I came to the district as assistant superintendent, and we worked very closely together, created a literacy team, and brought data meetings and data processes and groupings to classrooms, a lot of education and professional development. It was a lot of work. We worked on report card committee together. We worked on curriculum together. And then as a principal, she is, I think, always going to be a reading specialist at heart. I think we all kind of are if you get into that. And so we did a lot of work with that, even despite her role as a principal. It was wonderful seeing her develop and grow as a school leader. When we were combining the schools, I was able to have some really in-depth conversations with all of the administrators and hear from them what their hopes, dreams, and passions were. And in Mrs. Weintraub's case in particular, it aligned perfectly with a very specific need we had in the district. There had never been a curriculum coordinator in the capacity that we created. And she was very patient with that creation. I knew that she could be trusted to help us develop it with sort of some loose ideas in the beginning of what we knew we needed and where we wanted it to go. But I knew that I could trust her to give honest, impactful feedback on where it needed to go from there. And it has really developed into something amazing. Not only has she really turned the curriculum work around and been extremely helpful to teachers and staff, she has also worked with the instructional coaches that we were able to bring in to be of incredible service to our educators, who all together, they oversee the interventionists, which also we created in the district. And we did actually quite a lot now that I'm starting to name these things. It's been a little while. That's pretty cool. So at that point, we also had need for a coordinator of English language learners at a time where, of course, none of us knew that the population would just blossom, which has been, of course, completely enriching for the town and for the school system. But for the coordinator, who's also the coordinator of other areas, it was a lot. We went from a department of 2 full-time people and 1 part-time person to 9 people. And it's a full department now and still growing with changing regulations and testing and services. And as if that weren't enough, Mrs. Weintraub really took it to another level, serving these families, really doing the wraparound services we know are necessary for all kiddos, including their family lives, and making sure that they were treated equitably and welcomed into the district. And that has also been wonderful to observe and see grow. That, along with her many hats on our E-team, we work very well together collaboratively as an E-team. I'm confident. They often wonder why we have to all get together, but I think, at least from my perspective as a superintendent, it was really helpful for me to hear about what's happening in every aspect, but also every aspect of the district, but how they're all interrelated and all the intersectionalities. And that was a perfect example to see Mrs. Weintraub be able to participate in conversations with principals about things like discipline, when she's the curriculum coordinator and the director of ELL. And that has shown me in many wonderful ways her capacity to continue to grow and evolve. She has a lot of experience, but she also has a lot of energy. And we had a great, very lengthy conversation, very specific to this role, the things that come with it. I was in the role in 2 different districts. I'm very familiar with the role. We had very frank conversations about learning curves and supports. And she is very, not only do I believe she is ready in capacity to take on the role, but she expressed great excitement in the role. And I felt a lot of energy in the conversation and really excited for Easton as well as for Mrs. Weintraub. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, but I could go on quite a bit about Mrs. Weintraub, and I will if you want me to, but I would like to be able to make a formal recommendation based on the hard work of Kelly Kavanaugh, Aaron Johnson, LaRonda Campbell, Julie Paul, Amanda Spector, Brian Aries, Renisha Green, and of course Christina DiNapoli, and myself have fully vetted this applicant and I feel very confident recommending her to the school committee as the next assistant superintendent of the Easton Public Schools.
Thank you. So the school committee's role in the appointment of the assistant superintendent is governed by Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 59. And pursuant to this section, the superintendent makes the recommendation to the school committee, and the school committee can approve or disapprove the hiring, but such approval shall not be unreasonably withheld. So do school committee members either have questions for Dr. Cabral or Director DiNapoli? Okay. Yeah, you can make a comment, certainly.
Okay. So anyone who knows me at all knows that, yes, it's on.
Thank you. So it was not on, obviously.
Anyone that knows me knows that I speak and I lead and I feel everything from my heart. And so when I went through all of the information that we had, I went straight to the recommendations. And there was one particular recommendation. There was a ton, which didn't surprise me at all. Is it okay that I'm saying all this?
Absolutely.
But there was one in particular that I won't go into too much detail about, but it was from a staff member who she opened up her heart and she said the impact that Mrs. Weintraub has had on her life and on her career and on her family. And so many people can do a job well, but when you have strong character, you do your job so much better. And this letter, all the letters, but this one in particular was just so from the heart, and the impact that you made on her life and her career, and was so amazing to read. And so that I just was so moved by the impact that you've had on staff members' lives and families' lives and through the years. So that's all. Sorry.
Does anyone else want to? Kelly?
I do. The district, Scott, has a lot going on. And we had a similar conversation. We were choosing a superintendent on who's best for the district, who's best to bring us in a time with what we know about the town and the budget and all the changes that we're experiencing, like who's best to serve us. And I was so hopeful in this process that we would, that an internal candidate would emerge who understood us and could help us on this journey. I was delighted when I opened my folder and I saw who was the candidate. So I was so, I feel so confident in your ability to support us in this process. I've known you since my little kiddo was there with the pig concert in kindergarten, and the way that, and you know what I'm talking about, I still remember the pig face, it won't go away. And herding cats with children. I mean, it is, I love kindergartners, but they are herding cats. And Ms. Weintraub was able to do it with so much joy and so much happiness, and to bring all those kids along on their journeys in this tiny classroom at Moreau Hall that had like bookcases for walls, and yet like rooms filled with joy. And it was like the most incredible school. So to watch you on your journey through this whole district, from Moreau Hall to running Center School and the way that you manage that, to leading our curriculum, I am so confident in your ability to help us. I am so delighted that you were willing to take this on.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
So you're my son's principal for 1 year, your first year at Center School. And he through his entire Easton Public Schools career, you always knew his name. you recognize him, and I know becoming a new principal in a new school with a student who was only there for 1 year is remarkable, that you were always, or doesn't say great things about my child perhaps, but, no, but you also.
Your noticeable, wonderful child.
That's right.
There you go.
But that's just, he had a wonderful experience with you, and then anytime I've ever seen you any place in the district, like, people speak very, very highly of you. Like, these letters definitely reflect what the school department and the town think of you. So I'm really glad you're that candidate.
Do you want to?
Sure, I'll say something now. Yes. Miss Weintraub was actually my third grade teacher. It's a short story, but if I'm remembering correctly, Miss Weintraub, I learned about the different volumes and glasses because of you, and the dispersion of, I think there were alcoholic beverages. But most, it was a long time ago, but yes, pints and cups.
Oh, the pints is what he's referring
Yes.
to. Okay. You may have translated that in adulthood.
Different kind of pint.
But I will say, the only other memory I really have is that it was 9/11, and you wouldn't have known that until you went home. Wow. And I can only imagine how you all kept it together that day. So I'm really excited, even though I still call you Mrs. Weintraub. And I know you've told me to call you Anne, but it will be exciting to work with you in a very different capacity than we've known each other. So I'm very excited.
So when my son started kindergarten, he was at Parkview. He wasn't at Center, but I had a lot of friends whose kids were at Center, and I would hear all the time, "We love Mrs. Weintraub. Mrs. Weintraub is the best. I can't believe you're not at Center School. We love," and that's what I have heard for the past 11 years, constantly, how much families just love you and appreciate you. And so when I found out you were the candidate, I was like, okay, thankful, very thankful that you are willing to step into this role, because you are just so highly thought of. You are trusted by administrators, staff, parents, families, kids, and I just think you're going to be such a great addition in this role, and I'm really, really excited to work with you. So thank you for stepping into this. So do you want to say something?
May I?
Yeah.
Great.
You have to turn your mic
Oh,
on.
it's on. It's on. So I've worked really closely with Anne for the past few years, and as is her role of Director of Curriculum and EL. And anything I've asked Anne to do, not only does she do it, but she makes it better. And I'm so excited to see what she will be, upon your approval, what she will be able to do for the position that I have been holding for 9 years. I know that she's going to make it better. And that is something that I'm so excited for this district, for Anne's leadership. She is exceptionally detail-oriented. She ensures that, they're both meaningful and well-executed. She keeps student learning and outcomes at the center of every decision, and that is so important. She leads with integrity. She is student-centered, and I know that she brings a thoughtful balance of strong instructional expertise, relationship building, and strategic thinking that will continue to move this district forward. And I am honored to sit beside her upon your approval in this journey, and to be able to serve the community in this capacity. Thank you.
Okay, so I get to do this. I'm excited. I will make a motion to approve the recommendation by Dr. Cabral to appoint Anne Weintraub as the next Assistant Superintendent of the Easton Public Schools, beginning July 1st, 2026, pending successful contract negotiations. Do I have a second?
Second, Loomis.
All in favor? Congratulations. Do you want to say something?
Oh, yes. Yep. Yes. Yes. Please.
So I wrote a few things because can I just put it down? Is it good? All right. Thank you. It's with immense pride and gratitude and deep humility that I accept the opportunity to serve as the Assistant Superintendent of the Easton Public Schools. This moment represents the fulfillment of a goal I've had for a very long time, and I'm honored to continue serving the community that means so much to me, both personally and professionally. Over the past several weeks, I have been profoundly moved by the encouragement and confidence and trust I've gotten from my colleagues, friends, members of the Easton community. I do not take that trust lightly. I am committing to continuing to lead with integrity, compassion, and purpose by building strong relationships, strengthening trust, elevating teaching and learning, and ensuring that every student and staff member has a place to thrive, feel valued, and supported. Easton is more than a place that I work. It's a home to me. It's a community where I've devoted my entire career and chosen to raise my family. This makes this opportunity even more meaningful. I'm eager to expand my circle of influence in continuing the success of the Easton Public Schools. For the past 9 years, I've had the privilege of working closely with Dr. Pruitt, and I'm incredibly optimistic about what we could accomplish together leading this community that we care so deeply about. So I thank you for your trust, your support, and the opportunity to keep serving the Easton Public Schools community. Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, a vote to accept grants, Creative Spark. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. Director of Student Services, Craig Davidson, is here to present the grant with Eileen Gardner, who is our wonderful nurse at Easton Middle School. And this grant is for students at EMS and OA to implement creativity to inspire growth and positivity in the community. So I'll welcome Ms. Gardner and Mr. Davidson to come on up. The podium, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cabral and School Committee. I would love to take any credit for this that I possibly could, but it would be fake. This is all Nurse Gardner's work that she has done with our high school and middle school students, and she'll be presenting this tonight to the board.
Great, thank you. And thank you to Director Davidson, who honestly I could not have been able to pull this together, and also Mr. Spagna, because it is, as you know, with some of these grants, it's a state grant. So this is actually, the Creative Spark grant is from Health Resources in Action, which it is from Mass Department of Public Health. And it is specifically related to tobacco and nicotine prevention. So where Easton Wings of Hope is like our local level, our state level is HRIA, and otherwise known as the 84, where we have a Oliver Ames chapter and an Easton Middle School chapter. And so you have to have a chapter in order to apply for the grants. And it's kind of vague when you apply. And then, so both, Easton Middle School has done this grant before, and but this was the first time OA did it. And OA's advisor actually transferred to the middle school over the summer. So I stepped in to help out. And so I was working with, obviously the high school. I mean, I know everybody there, but you know, thank goodness for the principal and for Greg. We were all able to collaboratively work together. And so for the middle school, their Creative Spark project is a project called Love Your Lungs. And it's student-led, and with the middle schoolers, I have to kind of develop it and kind of cajole them and direct them a little bit more. And but they're great. They have great ideas, and so they've developed a website. and it's a Google site, so, and I also had help from Liv Ramos before she took another position, and also from Jess Garbelski, and they've been great because I'm not very techy, but they have been absolutely fabulous at helping us about that. We have a QR code, and we will have banners. We already have 2 commitments for banners. So the banner says "Love Your Lungs" with a logo that the students made, and they voted on. It was very, very dramatic, as everything is at the middle school age. And they developed the banner. They went through the grant process as much as a middle schooler can, but honestly, they really have a good understanding. And the banners, and we also made signs that are kind of like the RO signs, so we'll have some of those around town. We are partnering, and they've had conversations with Easton Wings of Hope and the YMCA. They've come to our meetings, and so there's been a lot of community involvement. And where Director Davidson and I are on the Wellness Committee, we've also tied in some Langwater Farm stuff too, so it's been great. So the grant funds that are coming to the middle school is $5,500. It's specifically for this project. And the state level, they, like the people who gave us the grant have already approved what we're spending it on. And what it goes on is all the supplies for the project, printing. They're also doing stickers that are going to go in local takeout boxes with the QR code, so that as people get takeout, they'll have a QR code and they'll be able to say, oh, what's this all about? And it's going to bring them to a website that has everything fact-based, vetted by our health teacher, myself, and the state. Anything you would want to know about healthy lungs, why they should be healthy, why it's best not to vape, why it's not best not to smoke. And healthy lifestyle will be tied on in with the why. And we also have some like quitting resources, which will be tied in there. So it would be very accessible. Militia Park is possibly going to have one. So it's going to be, it's not just at the schools. Like at the middle school, they're not supposed to have their phone. So will be people accessing it throughout the community. And we're going to put the sticker on tissues and give out at like some of the public events, like the races at the park and stuff like that. And so the funds go for the signs. It also goes for end of the year party for the kids, which we're actually going to have after hours at Langwater. After hours, 3:30. I'm making it sound really exciting, but it's going to be at Langwater Farm. So they earned it, and they also like the students who worked on the project will be getting sweatpants and sweatshirts that have a paw print in there. We ordered the Comfort brand, which was very coveted, and so they're enjoying that. And then the 2,530, Oliver Ames is doing art contest that is called Uplifting Voices, and it's definitely more age appropriate. They really, like, I kind of had to just step back and edit. They're going to be doing an art contest. Kristen Shea and Jillian Sapienza, and they have been great at mentoring Mia Esterman, and they're going to be doing an art contest. They could use any medium of art project, like they could do clay, watercolors, anything they want. We purchase the products. They'll pick a winner. There'll be prizes involved, and then they're going to have a showcase after hours, 2:34, and away, where we will also use Aramark to have, like, stacks for the kids. So basically, anyone in the lobby will be able to go and be able to show off their work, and we will be able to put that project on that website that EMS has. Like, we already have put Mr. Beck's project. He had like a really great calendar project for like nicotine prevention, and so we connected in. We've invited K-12, any of the health teachers or teachers who have anything about nicotine prevention to add it, and it's going to be for a full year, the website. So fun. That's great.
I love that. We're all very well aware of the work you do with the 84 in the school. I love the extension into the community, that's really great. It's students helping the community. You're helping the students help the community. It's just growing and growing. And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. This sounds amazing. Can't wait to drive around town and check it out.
I'm so afraid that I messed up the QR code, but that's what Jessica Grabowski's for. So
I'm sure
it'll
it's
be good.
Perfect. I'm sure it's perfect. Thank you so much for your efforts with this, because we all know that it's really important. This prevention work is extremely important, and you're at the perfect age with these kiddos to try to stem this epidemic, and we really appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you. Congratulations on the grant. They're not easy.
So I just want to confirm, so the grant for OA is $5,500?
No,
right?
the one for the EMS project is $5,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then OA is
25-30.
25,
2530.
25.
And the funds, so I have a spend down date by June 12th, and the funds can only be used for these particular projects. But we do plan on, I'm really good at spending money, so we're making sure that we're getting like art project, like art materials that can be reused by the art program, and like the students are also gonna get to keep those, they don't have to return them or anything. And the same with the middle school. We try to purchase things, like last year we bought a set of lungs that we use in the health classes, like, so.
Do committee members have any questions or comments?
This is great.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so I am going to, let's see, I'll take a motion to accept with gratitude the Creative Sparks Grant for EMS in the amount of $5,500.
So moved, Percio.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, and I'll
Thank you.
I'll take a motion to accept with gratitude the Creative Sparks Grant for Oliver Ames High School in the amount of $2,530.
So moved, Percio.
Second?
Second, Linda.
All in favor? Great, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I just say one thing? I want
Yeah.
to thank Rebecca Jackson too, who is helping me with all the grant stuff, because now, like, I couldn't put it through until today, so now it's like, this is EMS, this is OA, and she's been fabulous.
Amazing.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next item on the agenda is a vote to accept grant school breakfast expansion. Dr. Cabral?
Yes, Director Spagna will speak about an Aramark grant that's going to help us potentially expand our breakfast program for our students. Director Spagna?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Our District Food Service Director, Nicole Upton with Aramark, has applied. Her goal has always been to expand participation in food, lunch and breakfast. So she did apply for the school breakfast expansion grant and was awarded. She was awarded $3,031.15. Her intention is to, is to purchase grab-and-go breakfast carts that can be taken to the entrance points for the kids, where they can grab a complete meal as they come in, making it a little bit easier and better access for them. It's a lot better than having to go down to the cafeteria and grab what they need. So if you accept this grant, this will just give us the permission to move forward with that purchase and get the program up and running as soon as we can.
And the grant is from the New England Dairy and Food Council?
That's correct.
Okay. Committee members have questions or comments?
This is great and much appreciated. I think especially for high schoolers, coming in that front door and trying to get over to the cafeteria is a little bit of a haul when they are cutting it close and may or may not have gotten breakfast. And I think we know how important that is for them to be able to be focused. So really appreciate this. It's great.
We all know how important breakfast is, especially for kids as they're about to start a long school day. So we're really hopeful that this will really drive up the users and the students that are able to have breakfast at the start of the day.
Thank you. So I will, I'll take a motion to accept with gratitude the school breakfast expansion grant from the New England Dairy and Food Council in the amount of $3,031.15.
So moved, Percio.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item. Vote to approve contract Great Minds. Dr. Cabral?
Yes, this is a curriculum contract with the company Great Minds, and so Dr. Pruitt is going to speak about this one as well as the next one and answer any questions you may have.
Thanks. So We are requesting that the school committee, we're requesting school committee approval for a 3-year contract with Great Minds for the district's literacy program, K through 8. As part of this agreement, Easton Public Schools will transition from the Wit and Wisdom program to Arts and Letters, which is an updated literacy program developed by Great Minds. Arts and Letters reflects enhancements made in response to extensive educator feedback and builds upon the strong foundation of Wit and Wisdom while providing refinements to strengthen implementation and the student learning experience. Director of Curriculum, or shall I say soon to be Assistant Superintendent, Ann Weintraub has led a thoughtful and collaborative process to gather staff input and feedback throughout this process through her work with the units, the literacy units. This came to fruition that Arts and Letters was essentially a Wit and Wisdom 2.0, and there is some transitional features that we will have to purchase, a one-time cost for this. It's important to note that Anne has ensured that our educators' voice remains central to the decision-making process and has generated a lot of excitement around this new opportunity. Approval of this contract will support the district's continued commitment to high-quality literacy instruction, as it is in HQIM, high-quality instructional materials, and provide students and educators with updated resources designed to enhance literacy instruction. The total cost is $371,911.68. That is inclusive of the reoccurring payments, which is essentially around, sorry, I did not section that out what each year, but each year you will know what the reoccurring payment is, but it is not over 200,000 is the one-time cost for the transition to Arts and Letters, and that is all currently in the budget, the operating budget. I looked at Director Spagna, like, we've talked about this, just double checking.
We have a textbook line in
Yes,
the budget.
yes, we have a textbook line in the budget that this money will be coming from.
Committee members have questions, comments?
I have a question. I just want to, I guess, play back a little bit of what I heard to make sure I understand it. So our Wit and Wisdom program now is transitioning to Arts and Letters?
Yes.
Okay, and it's the same vendor or a new vendor?
Same vendor. Great Minds is the vendor for both.
Okay.
And what happened was, with the implementation of Wit and Wisdom, they took a lot of feedback from educators, and they decided that some tweaks had to be made, and by doing so, they created a new program called Arts and Letters. Many of the features are the same. I can have Director Weintraub talk more if you'd like, as she's more intimate with the actual program itself.
Sure. So, and I did meet with every grade level.
Can you come up?
Oh,
Sorry.
I did meet with every grade level K to 8 to talk with the teachers about this. And it really isn't a new program. It's an updated version. And basically what our goal was with our unit writing was it always is to take our primary resource, which is Wit and Wisdom for ELA, and make adjustments to it so they're Easton units. And what we were finding was there were so many challenges with Wit and Wisdom. The biggest one being time. The lessons are 90 minutes long, which is almost impossible for teachers to fit in, particularly at the middle school with their 45-minute periods. The program itself was hard to follow, although the quality of it was great. So I was a little bit overwhelmed starting the unit process with how are we going to keep this resource and make all the changes that needed to be made to make the units our own. And then we found out that Wit and Wisdom had done this on a bigger level, taken all the feedback from teachers who had implemented Wit and Wisdom, and their challenges were the same as Easton teachers. And then they created this program. So what I did was I met with each grade level and we previewed Arts and Letters to see the changes they made, and the teachers were thrilled with it. So the great part of it, the content building, the concepts were all there, and then they made the really instructional part of it more manageable for teachers. And every grade level, K to 8, agreed that this is what we should go with. So it really is just a better version, not a whole new program.
Got it.
And I met with our rep yesterday to set up training for us, and it's not a full training, it's kind of that migration, what's the difference between the two, and going through it, so teachers are prepared to start in September with it.
Okay. Go ahead, Lauren, you had a question?
So I recall when Wit and Wisdom was implemented, it was a huge learning curve for teachers to learn the curriculum. Will they have to go through that again? Because it seems awfully very close, because that was not that long ago.
Correct. And that was the initial reaction of teachers, that we're a new program, we have to learn the whole thing. It really is just an updated version. So no, the whole concept of Wit and Wisdom, the whole concept of background building and comprehension and all of these, it's the same type of program.
Many of the routines are the same.
Yes.
A lot of the texts are similar, or the same, sorry. There are some substitutions that will be made. So one of the examples is there's a second grade book, first grade, that just was not a great book. And we struggled with it. We're laughing because there's many stories we could tell about it. And that was the first thing that we noticed that was off the list in the arts and letters. But the actual content itself is the same. The learning curve for the teachers, we are not anticipating it to be a great lift at all.
Which is why I met with each grade level individually, so we could preview it. So their concern about that, we were able to alleviate.
So it sort of sounds like the company itself had an oops, and we shouldn't be making you pay for a whole new program. We should just be upgrading.
That's what this is.
Oh, Wit and Wisdom was a lot more expensive.
Yes.
We were able to get a grant to help us with it,
Correct.
but it was double this easily.
Right.
And also, there's always a cost with the consumables of the program as well, so we have to factor that in. We would be paying for our ELA program each year with the consumables, and that's part of this price as well. So we did compare if we stayed with Wit and Wisdom or went with this, and we did talk them into a migration program.
So this isn't a total new expense that we
No,
wouldn't
no,
have
absolutely
to do.
not.
Okay.
And remember, this is 9 grade levels of materials,
3 years.
right? For 3 years. So that's important to note that the $371,000 is a one-time payment for 3 years. So if you broke it out, it's essentially over $100,000 for each year across 9 grade levels.
With consumables, the digital subscriptions, all the costs that we would incur for Wit and Wisdom.
So
And
were
we
we saying?
we plan for textbooks, and so
Yes.
this is a textbook line for this purpose.
You guys just mentioned one thing on that. When we say it's in the budget, there is funding available in the budget to cover this. The textbook line itself is drawn over a little bit from the purchase of the curriculum, but we have other funding available that will be used to cover the difference between the cost of the curriculum and the other curriculum.
Go ahead, Jim, did you have something else?
I guess, so this is cheaper to keep than Wit and Wisdom, even though it's a newer program, or what is this compared to what we paid for Wit and Wisdom?
So the cost right now is the migration over to arts and letters. That's the one-time cost, but the consumables from year to year are essentially the same.
The same cost?
So, yes,
as if
there
we
is
had
a
Wit and
cost
Wisdom.
to
Yes, there is
There's definitely a cost to migrate.
that is the primary driver right now is the migration cost.
But that's alleviating some staff burden that they've been experiencing trying to
Yes.
adapt the Wit and Wisdom
Exactly.
curriculum
Yes.
into something that was more manageable, especially with the duration of like class periods and things like that.
I wish the teachers were still here.
I know, I'm
because they
seeing some,
would've-
there are some audience nods
Yes.
helping with this. Okay, I understand that. And for the kids, we've been building skills.
Yep.
Each year through Wit and Wisdom, and so the same skills are going to be developed. So
Yes.
there isn't a child transition, but we are working on
Yes.
a better experience for the team.
Yeah,
Okay.
it definitely is not comparable to a new program.
No.
Which you're right, Lauren, that's a huge take, and taking that on. It's not the same thing.
But I guess what I'm asking is, wit and wisdom cost how much X number of years ago, and now we have to migrate again, or now we have to migrate, and then how many? I mean, this is what a software company is going to do a couple more years from now. There's going to be some 3.0, 4.0 version of this that we're going to have to pay for.
Well, curriculum is never something that you have for 30 years.
Right.
We're always going to try to develop it. And going from wit and wisdom to arts and letters is light years better than going from Reading Street to arts and letters.
Right.
No, just going from Reading Street to arts and letters. Like, we are made forward progression the whole time. It's not, to use Lauren's word, like an oops. It wasn't like we changed to something and it's like, throw that out. We're going to bring in something totally different.
Correct.
We made great progression. And now this is the updated version, which is not that unusual.
And it's important to know too that we write our own units here in Easton, where the programs that we purchase are the primary foundation for our tier 3 stage 3, which is the learning plan. And so we are constantly updating stage 3 when new resources become available. So while arts and letters is would be the primary driving force behind stage 3, it still allows room for teachers' creativity and teachers to bring in other things that may actually enhance a student's experience. What was the holdup here was that Anne was beginning that process with our ELA teams, and the changes that needed to be made in order for this to happen was found in arts and letters. Arts and letters was addressing all of the concerns that we had. I hear you about the concern about in a couple years from now, arts and letters becomes letters and arts or something, and we have to purchase something else. But now that this is becoming a part of our units, we're looking at 5-year cycles of curriculum review. And what does that look like in 5 years from now? Do we need to supplement with additional resources or not? That all goes through the curriculum review cycle process. And that happens regularly. It's just because literacy, K through 8, is such a huge undertaking, that's where it becomes more public. We just went through this through our AP psychology course, but the cost of it didn't measure. We didn't have to bring it before school committee, but they just went through it as well with the purchase of books. Oh, Matt left, yes.
The other piece of it too, and this is just my opinion from my conversations, is that I don't know how long Wit and Wisdom is going to exist.
Right.
They've made this new program, and anyone working with great minds is going with arts and letters. And Chrissy and I, in our conversations with great minds, actually our negotiations with them, they created this migration plan for the few districts who their timing was similar to ours.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to have that migration plan for much longer either. So it kind of was, we need to do this now, or we'll have Wit and Wisdom, and then we'll be forced to make a change when they're not publishing Wit and Wisdom anymore.
And we spoke with another community that just went through this process, and they shared with us how arts and letters is leaps and bounds better for not just students, but for our staff as well, for their staff as well. And that was really helpful.
What will the rollout process be?
So we're going to hopefully provide training, the launch training, before the end of the school year for each grade level, and then plan something for the fall.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So it will start in the fall, in
Yes.
the first
Yes.
day?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
We
Absolutely.
have teachers already teaching it because
Yes,
they were piloting it.
I met with some grade levels earlier in the spring, and they said, if we're going to go this way, can we pilot some of the modules instead of, and they've been so pleased with it, the teachers who have already started using it.
So when you have a curriculum program, every year there's new consumables,
Yes.
and there's some kind of reoccurrence fee
Yes.
that you pay.
Yep.
So it's never like you buy curriculum and that sits there for the next
Correct.
5 years,
Correct.
and that's it.
Right.
There's
Yes.
always
Consumables
costs.
you're talking
Like
about
the
worksheets,
workbooks.
workbooks.
Yep.
Once the student's write in them, you need to
Right.
replenish them every year.
Right.
So it's not like a high school textbook.
Right, and the
They're
texts that the
consumed
kids
every
use,
year.
obviously, they need to be replaced just because of usage.
Right.
There's a cost every year.
Any other questions or comments?
A perfect example is the next contract you'll see.
Okay, so I will take a motion to approve the contract with Great Minds.
So moved, Percio.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay. Next item on the agenda, vote to approve contract Wilson Language.
Okay, so we are also requesting approval of a 3-year contract with Wilson Language Training for the continued implementation of foundations in grades K through 3 in the amount of $51,466.18. Foundation serves as the district foundational literacy program. It's a complement providing structured, systematic instruction aligned with the science of reading. So these are more of your foundational literacy skills, and this is obviously it promotes the development of essential early literacy skills. And approval of this contract will ensure continuity of instructional resources and support high-quality literacy instruction.
Questions?
This is a program that we already use. This is just the re-upping the contract for 3 more years.
So the 3-year contract with them?
Yes.
We already had a 3-year contract.
Yes.
And it's up in this-
Yep.
And so how does this complement the Great Minds curriculum?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to? I'm just calling her back up. I can answer this, but she does such a better job articulating it that I also want to just show off the.
So Foundations is a K-3 program. It's the foundational reading skills. So it's phonics. It's the phonics program. And it is a structured, systematic program. And it includes a lot of consumables. The kids use the magnetic boards with the letters to make the words. There's workbooks and notebooks and journals that go along with it.
Okay.
And then there's decodable readers called geodes that are connected between Foundations and Great Minds. So it follows the same sequence that teachers use those for some small group instruction.
And so you've been happy with this program over the past 3 years?
Absolutely. It's, yes. And to have it now K-3 consistently in all classrooms is really what we needed.
And it's important to note that when we adopted Foundations as a district-wide program, Anne had been using it in center school already.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why she's very well versed in Foundations, and now we are able to expand some of the work in 3rd grade this year, which is a newer portion.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. So I will take a motion to approve the contract with Wilson Language.
So moved, Percio.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. So next item, a vote to approve out-of-state field trip, Roger Williams Zoo. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. As you know, trying to time this. Thank you. As you know, the school committee policy requires that all out-of-state field trips, including Rhode Island, need to be approved. And so Principal Cedarbaum is here to speak about the Roger Williams Zoo field trip.
Good evening, everyone. Our kindergartners are making their yearly trek to Rhode Island to go to the Roger Williams Zoo. This field trip ties into our Wit and Wisdom curriculum, both Module 2, which is called Once Upon a Farm, and Unit 4. Module 4 right now is all about continents, and the teachers have found, especially last year, having done Wit and Wisdom now, the students are particularly interested in the continents. And of course, you've been to a zoo, all the placards are out in front of the animals, and so now they're noticing all of the continents that the animals are from, which ties directly to the curriculum, which is great. So we're looking for your permission to travel across the line.
Questions, comments? Love that zoo.
It's my favorite place.
It's very fun to filter.
It is. I'll take a motion to approve the out-of-state field trips to the Roger Williams Zoo.
So moved, Percio.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda. Hold on, I'm getting there. Which might not have my policy with me. Okay, policy IJNDD, policy on social networking websites, third read and vote. I'll try to find it. So, as you may remember, we've discussed this policy a couple of times. And at our last meeting, we brought forward, the policy subcommittee brought forward a policy which was completely revised based on committee concerns and a recommendation by our former Director of Technology, Ms. Ramos. So I know there were, just like I said, it was completely rewritten, so we want to make sure that you had enough time and felt comfortable. Policy that I can't find. Does anyone have any questions or comments now about the policy? Are there any? Go ahead.
It's not Twitter anymore, it's X. So on, looks like the third to last page, if you go backwards.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't get a printout of the policy, so I apologize.
I can give you, it lists all of the many social media, like so as examples, but it says Twitter, not X. That was just one thing. And then also under sort of the next section where it talks a lot about the line between professional life and personal life must be clear, and so if staff are using educational social media accounts or emails to communicate with kids and parents and guardians, you know, to make sure it's only directly related to education. And I was just wondering if we might want to consider like the suggestion that comments be turned off, or that there's a restriction of DMs, because if you're using social media to blast out amazing events that happen in the classroom, like pictures or updates or homework or things like that, having comments turned off from the public or from the subscribers helps prevent anything like that you can't control. It's like, and then DM, restricting the use of DMs, I think just protects the educator, because you can't control who's gonna put something into your messages, and whether or not they respond or delete it, like someone could still put something in there that may not be what they want it to be. So I don't know, my thought was just, I think those accounts are really helpful for parents and families and kids, and there's a like button so everyone can enjoy it, but restricting comments or direct messaging for accounts that are not run specifically by just the school itself might be something to consider. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely talk about that.
Cautious. And then just Twitter is X
now. Any other questions or comments about it? Okay, so we have a policy subcommittee meeting next week, so we can certainly go over that again, and we can come back to you guys at the next meeting. Can I just take that?
Yes.
So that I can write down. Thank you, I appreciate that. So, go ahead, Kelly, you have something?
It was just a minor thing for the policy subcommittee review. There's a reference at the beginning of the edits that says it's under establishing appropriate boundaries. So it says essential tools in social media enable teachers to provide the students with links to educational resources. But then it starts to reference other items that may be used. So links to educational resources, post homework assignments, monitor discussion forum on topics. I'm not sure all of that is per se social media, and I think we had sort of broadened some of the definition of it. So we may just need to either define the breadth of what we're calling social media up front.
So does it fall into
I think it just says overall electronic communication is sort of where I was going with that.
Okay.
Because I think there's essential tools in all electronic communication. I don't, people get in debates of like, well, was YouTube meant to be social media? I was just sending a link to Mystery Doug, I think it's the broader definition of any electronic communication that is giving these types of things is under this purview. And then still agree that a lot of other places where we say there's a clear distinction between professional and private use using social media is completely accurate. But I think there's a broader definition that we had started to take in terms of this.
Okay, so like right in that
paragraph?
paragraph?
Yeah,
Okay.
just right in there.
Okay.
So that so people understand the broader network of what we're trying to communicate is encompassed in this, as opposed to, well, it's okay that I use this because it's not technically deemed social media, was my sort of thinking on it. Keep a broad, easy communication on it.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay, well, if you guys think of anything else, we're meeting next week, so just let me know.
The next time you meet, maybe you could bring the rest of the policy committee with you so we can say hello.
She is always encouraged.
Yes.
She's a very busy lady. Okay, so Nancy.
She loves retirement in the school committee.
We are in the home stretch of policies, I just have to say.
That's why she's
We really are.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing to see the progress that has been made.
It is. So we have just a handful left of policies that we're reviewing to bring to you for first read. MASC put a little bit of a wrench in it by changing a few things. So, but we're definitely getting there, which is really great. So the goal is to have our policy manual back online by the summer.
Wonderful.
And then we'll just, from that point on, just when things come up, we just revise as needed.
We will all so greatly miss reviewing policies.
Sure. Okay, next item, discussion and possible vote revisions to 2026-2027 school calendar. Dr. Cabral?
Okay, so there were some questions about the school calendar that you had approved previously, and you had asked Dr. Pruitt to come back with some options for you to consider, and so I'm going to have her present the possible revisions to the 26-27 school calendar.
Sure.
Oh, and Dr. Pruitt, maybe if you could kind of just give a background again about why this even
Yes,
came up, that would be
absolutely.
great. Thank you.
So this came up as a concern from our town clerk, Ms. Sicard, who is concerned about the primary, election day not being a professional development day. Typically, she pointed out that every 2 years, we've had a professional development day fall on the November election day. We, as a district, we had talked about how November is an extremely choppy month with school. There's a reason why it's nicknamed No School November. So we had decided to take out the professional development day in November, except for the presidential election. So it would be once every 4 years rather than every other year. Ms. Sicard had shared with me some data about the amount of people that vote and shared that concern. And so she asked that I would bring it to you for reconsideration to move a professional development day in consultation with the feedback that I had initially received from staff and from the cabinet. We are proposing, if you would like to revisit, moving the January professional development day to November 3rd, with the understanding from families that it's a very choppy month. And then also moving the start dates from August 31st for staff to September 1st for staff, and the start date of students from September 1st to September 2nd. So essentially, it's taking what was initially proposed to you as option one. It is taking that and just moving the professional development day. So this was one of the calendars you were considering with the professional development day in January instead of November. So we're bringing it back to you for reconsideration of this version with the professional development day instead of in January on November 3rd.
And do we want to just explain why we were talking about moving the first day of school?
Yeah, do you want to?
And so the first day of school is the primary, is the first day of school for students was falling on the primary. When I spoke with principals about the concern, they were not concerned about the operations of schools. However, from a town perspective and a voting perspective, that was a concern that the town clerk had because of the traffic and the concern of not being able to reach the polls for some of our voting constituents within the district.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Committee members, questions, comments?
I feel more comfortable with this, just given the current political environment, and I know I had expressed at the last school committee meeting, just having a lot of whatever the number may be, but having spaces blocked off, people on site, first day of school, lots of first day of school activities and confusion, and trying to get oriented. It just felt like a lot of disruption for a first day to have the primaries going on and trying to be navigating around that. So I feel much better about this, and I don't see it as a big shift given that we typically did start on a Wednesday. So I think it just gives us a little bit, it gives me a little bit of comfort that it will just separate those two things a bit more.
I echo what Kelly says. I think that trying to manage a primary and the first day of school with all the schools in the same campus is a recipe for disaster for both the town, the voters, and the students. So I am much more comfortable with them starting on Wednesday. Had I, apologies, I didn't realize that there was a primary as early as September 1st. It feels very early to me. You know, and had I been cognizant of that, I think I would have not voted as I did earlier. So I would be much more comfortable with the start date of Tuesday, the 2nd for kids, professional development for teachers on the 1st.
Anyone else?
I will say that when we review the calendar, we have a long list of things to consider. The election days are not on that list, but it will be added from now on.
Thank you.
Because of primaries, obviously, in September. I don't think we've had it be so close to the start of school in the past.
Ms. Sakaro
years that I
did share
remember.
with me, this is new. Like, this
Yes.
is a new thing to move it this
Correct.
early.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what caught us
Right,
all off guard.
right.
And I also think with all the snow that we had and coming off the blizzard, when I think we
Yep.
looked at this, everyone was like, what is the earliest date we
Exactly.
can get the kids out of school and build in the most possible room?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think the blizzard might have also
Yes.
impacted everybody's thought process a little as well.
Understandably.
And did you have a chance to talk to other staff members about this shift? And
No, I looked at the feedback from staff. I know that the high school staff specifically was opposed to the January 15th PD day. Not opposed to it, but they said it wasn't as preferable
okay.
because of midterms.
Oh, okay.
So this, I think, will make them a little bit happier.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. All right, so this is then, it's calendar option number 1, draft number 2. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay. So I will take a motion to approve option number 1, draft number 2 for the Easton Public Schools 2026-2027 district calendar.
So moved, Rocio.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next item. Update revolving funds, Dr. Cabral.
Thank you. Dr. Pruitt's going to help Director Spagna with some slides for our revolving fund update. So if you
Want us
want
to go
to
out?
move to the front row so that you can see it easily, but you also have it in your packets and in your electronic folder.
Oh, was it? A lot more people are beeping now, so.
Why don't you get started as soon as I'll hit
Oh,
until this works.
okay, all right, thank you. Good evening. So what I want to present to you today is the active revolving funds that the district currently has in place. What I did is I brought these funds back from 2023 to fiscal year 26. Just as a side note, just have to understand that FY26 is not done. We've got a couple, probably 2 to maybe even 3 months of activity that still has to pass through some of these revolving funds. So you'll see some sharp increases and sharp decreases. That's because all the revenue hasn't come in or all the expenses have not been done yet. A lot of it year-end expenses. So I'll go to the next slide, Dr. Pruitt.
It's all frozen here. Please wait with me.
I love technology.
Yes.
Oh, you're giving them a sneak preview.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. I think it's a good idea just to give a brief excerpt of what a revolving fund is. I mean, thank you. The Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E1/2. It's a much bigger document than this, but I'm just going to give you a small read. A city or town may authorize by law or ordinance the use of one or more revolving funds by one or more municipal agencies, boards, departments, or offices, which shall be accounted for separately from all other monies in the city or town, and to which shall be credited any fees, charges, or other receipts from the programs or activities supported by the revolving fund. Expenditures from such revolving fund without further appropriation, expenditures may be made from such revolving funds without further appropriation, subject to the provisions of this section, provided, however, that the expenditures shall not be made or liabilities incurred from any such revolving fund in excess of the balance of the fund or in excess of the total authorized expenditures from such fund, nor shall any expenditures be made unless approved by the officer or officers authorized to expend from the fund. Basically, what that's saying is these funds cannot go into a deficit position. If they are going into a deficit position, the operating fund has to pick up the difference so they don't end the year in that deficit. On these funds, interest earned on any revolving fund shall be treated as general fund revenue of the city or town. So any interest earned on these funds, aside from school lunch, which is under a different general law, it is a revolving fund, but it's under a different law, all that interest that accrues in the account goes right to the general fund of the town. Okay? And if there's questions as I'm going through this, please let me know, because I'm going to kind of move through them. I thought it was important, too, to talk a little bit about net school spending and what that is, because we're going to be leveraging these revolving funds, and we have to be very structured on how we do it, and it's going to help us with our net school spending requirements. Just for those who don't understand or don't have an idea of what net school spending is, it's a key regulatory matrix in Massachusetts that ensures every public school district spends at least a minimum adequate amount on its students' education and represents a total general fund spending from both state aid and local tax revenue. The minimum spending, all districts must spend 100% of their required net school spending. Failure to do so can result in non-approval of municipal tax rate, enforcement actions by the Attorney General, or loss of state aid. And these are all language right from the ruling, by the way. There are exclusions. Net school spending typically excludes spending from any federal and state grants, as well as revolving funds like school lunch or athletic fees and capital costs. So why that's relevant, and just to give you an idea, right now our proposed budget is $50,096,817 for 2027. Our net school spended required to be spent next year is $49,869,671. It's an extremely narrow margin. When we say we have a very lean budget, we have a very lean budget. We have $227,000 of leeway above our net school spending. I mean, the medical that the town pays on our behalf does calculate into net school spending, so it's a little bit more than that, but our specific budget is only $227,000 available. So achieving this, we're going to require some very careful management of our revolving funds. We have to make sure that if we do use our revolving funds, that we're thoughtful and we try to use the revolving funds to pay for the expenses that will not go to our next school spending, if we can. So a total of all our revolving funds is just over $2.7 million as of the date of this report, which I believe I ran these reports on May 3rd. So again, keep in mind, like I said, all the activity has not been posted. We rely on the town to post all our revenue, so that takes some time also. The school has 21 active revolving funds, including food service, and that $2.7 million does not include the balance that's in the food service fund right now, too. I'll show you that separately at the end. You'll see that a lot of these funds aren't being fully utilized in 26, and some of that is on purpose. We're doing it for a reason. An example of that is the athletic gate receipts and athletic revolving funds. Those are being maintained, hopefully, to take care of the potential need that's going to happen in 2 to 3 years for the athletic fields. So as much as they are being utilized, but we're trying to let them grow. We're trying to get a better balance in there. So when that time comes up, we have some kind of funding that we can fall back on. Will it meet the entire need? Maybe not, probably not, depending on what happens with the fields. So I'll run through each one of the 21 funds with you here. We'll start with the Special Education Revolving Fund. The funding source for this is pre-K tuitions. It's used for any special education-related costs and services. The implications of this fund is in FY27, we're already utilizing just under $269,000 to offset our out-of-district placement tuitions. So again, this is one of those funds that we can utilize and we can be thoughtful and we can start to use it, but we can't liquidate the entire fund and we can't start taking care of operational costs that are going to exist year over year over year. It's kind of, think of this as a one-time expenditure, but it's helping us get the budget down to where we're at a reasonable budget for 27. And again, if there's any future mandates that we are required to do through special education that we don't have in our operating budget, and we need to turn to this fund for that, it could be liquidated very quickly. So right now, it is at $888,000 as of May 3rd. Sure.
For example, if a child moved into the district that needed an out-of-district placement, maybe even a full living out-of-district
Yes.
placement, this fund could be used to help.
It could be, yes. Yep, that and plus another I'll show you later on the town actually has on our behalf. And those out-of-district placements, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it's residential, it could be $250,000 for one child. So it would go quick.
Per year.
Per
So if
year,
you have a
right.
student that is in first grade, or fifth grade, or seventh grade, you could potentially use this for a year's tuition or a couple of years' tuition. This, to Director Spagna's point, this is not meant to be part of the operational budget. That would expend this very quickly. It would give you maybe a year or potentially a 2-year heads up, and that's why a lot of movement has been done between this and the operating budget, because we sort of need that canary in the mine. Because the budget is so lean, we need to have something that we have a 1 or 2 year warning for everyone, but that is literally what we're down to, is a 1 or 2 year warning.
And then that would have to be, it'd have to be moved into the operating budget.
Right, and there's also current legislation talking about, or Director Spagna's probably going to talk about it.
No, I mean, that's fine.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
There's legislation about potentially requiring universal pre-K. We would not, this 1 year of that with no tuition would expend that 1 year,
Absolutely.
if that becomes mandatory.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next fund is facility rentals. The funding source is exactly what it's called. It's the revenue comes in from the rentals of our facilities. We did just add this year the electric vehicle charging stations revenue that's coming in. We've got about 2 months worth of that. We've brought in about $510. So at least it's generating something now, and it's not people just parked there for free charging their cars. The uses of this, when I look back at how we've been using it, and it seems legit to me, it's the custodial overtime related to the maintenance of those organizations that come in and rent our facilities, obviously. There is some grounds and building maintenance and repairs that's come through this fund also. But again, the facilities rental revolving fund is being strategically maintained so it can provide some flexibility for any unanticipated facility-related needs. We have a boiler go down, and it's, could be $500,000, whatever that is, and we don't have that in our operating budget. We need to make sure we have some available funding to take care of that. God forbid that happens. We're in the middle of winter. I think our buildings are in pretty good shape, but the 10-year assessment that we're doing will help give us an idea of what to expect going forward.
To Director Spagna's point about what it can be used for, these are, again, nothing like the operating budget or the DESI chart of accounts. These have very specific funds that can go into it. You can't just take money from a grant or an operating line, for example, and put it in a revolving account. This one, for example, is just facility rentals and the EV charging stations, and it can only be used for very specific purposes, and not year-to-year purposes like salaries or people.
And as a general rule, your revolving funds, you don't want to be putting those year-to-year operational costs like salaries in any one of these, because once these are gone, how do you fund those positions? You want to make sure those are in our operating budget or funded maybe through some grants that we have. Next one is the athletic revolving fund. This is generates revenue through athletic user fees. It's primarily right now used for transportation for athletic-related events. Earmarked, this fund, the athletic revolving and the gate receipts, like I said before, are both being earmarked for the turf field when the time comes up. But they are being utilized. Again, we're using them, but we want to make sure we can let them grow at the same time. We don't want to overuse them if we can avoid it. A perfect example this year is a lot of these funds, we haven't had to turn to the revolving fund for some of these expenses because the FY26 budget was able to cover the expenses. So that's a good thing, right? And as we go forward, even with the special ed revolving fund that we talked about and what's in the FY27 budget, well, if things change and we don't need to go to that revolving fund and local can pick it up, we won't. These are kind of at the end. If we have no other choice, we would turn to these. Some of it is pretty standard. I mean, they do a very good job in athletics about being judicial in how they use these funds.
It's also, you can see spring athletics has not all been expended from this yet. We're at this time of year. So as the director said, this is going to go down before the end of the year. The other thing to remember is, for those of you that were here, when we put the new field into Moscato Stadium, there had been, in the iteration before that, there had been a group called the Friends of Easton that did all the fundraising for that. When it came time to replace that field, that had basically become defunct. There was one member who really could not possibly on their own have generated all the funds. And so the town was very helpful to get a field in place. But it was made very clear at the town meeting that residents wanted to make sure that the district had a plan for what we were going to, in the town, had a plan for what was going to happen when that came to the end of its useful life, which is now in single digits. The last time we estimated the replacement of the field, it was about $1 million. You can see that in these accounts in totality, we don't have the amount of money it would take at today's costs, and we don't know what it's going to be. We're saying turf because that's what it is right now. Of course, that's up to the townspeople. Again, when we did this analysis last time and to our current research, a grass field or some other iteration is actually more. It's not only more expensive than turf, but you are able to generate less revenue because you have less usable time on it. Something that you will all get to discuss in great detail in just a couple of years. But we did make a commitment to work as hard as we possibly could to have money for the field. As Director Spagna said, we can't say that we have it just yet, but we are doing our best to try to make sure that what is coming in as the use of those fields is being used specifically for those fields as we committed to try to do.
The next one is the athletic gate receipts. The Special Education Reserve Fund. This is a different fund. This is the one that was appropriated by the
Director
town.
Spagna, I'm sorry, can you advance the slide, please?
Oh, didn't go?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So this was an appropriation by the town, I guess, a year or two ago?
No.
Long time ago?
This was, yes, this was a number of years ago
Okay.
where this actually was not ever allowed by the state of Massachusetts. And then in an effort to really help districts as much as they could to really account for the very mercurial nature and the unexpected and unanticipated expenses of special education, because it is at the need of the individual student, they allowed municipalities to create a town-level revolving account. We had to go before town meeting in order to approve this account. We were able to put money in. The goal was to always continue to put money into that as possible, because you can see 275,000 really is less than some residential placements for 1 year. However, due to the financial situation of the town, you can see that in the last several years, we haven't been able to increase that at all, but it is there. Again, it's for very specific purposes of unanticipated expenses, like unanticipated tuition. Like the canary analogy I'm going to use, you may be able to account for one student for 1 year, but then that's gone. So It's very important we keep an extremely close eye on this.
And
Sorry to
that
interrupt.
isn't even up to us to use it. It
We
has to
can't-
be.
Because it's a town level revolving account, we would have to bring a request to town meeting with an unanticipated tuition, for example, and the town would need to allow the expenditure of this fund. That's correct.
Okay. Kindergarten full day. This generated revenue in the past from kindergarten fees, and as you know, the district no longer charges for kindergarten. And it can be used for the kindergarten-related programs. The funding is maintained basically to offset any fluctuations in costs resulting from enrollment. So if we need to add some kindergarten teacher or a para in there, then you're talking about $100,000 to $150,000 just for that one teacher. This will be there for us if that has to happen.
Right, kindergarten classrooms have a teacher and a paraprofessional. So it's not just a teacher salary, it's already also a paraprofessional. And again, that's obviously for one section and for each year.
Testing revolving fund. This funding source is for transcript fees, PSAT exam fees, and AP fees. And the uses are basically to pay for the College Board PSAT fees for the kids. They pay in and we pay out to them. The additional revenue that comes in from the transcripts and AP fees, that's utilized to help support the kids that have some financial need that can't maybe even participate in those tests. That's what it's used for.
And again, it's testing season, so this will be expended
This one,
more
we're
by the
waiting.
end of the year.
Yeah. Elected bus service. It's a pay and ride program fee. It's used just strictly for transportation for those kids whose family are paying for riding. I did put the prices up there. The first student is $200. The second student in the family is $175. The third is $150, with a total max to the family of $525. The only explanation I give for the decrease is they're just not riding and paying for riding as much. It's got to be the ridership must be down.
And for people not familiar, we do bus students 2 miles and under for free. This is for students, 2 miles and over for free. This is for students who live 2 miles and less who elect to take the bus and pay for that. So that's a much smaller number of students.
Music revolving, another well-used fund. There's a lot of activity here. So they do a good job with this fund. It's basically music registration fees. They use it for transportation, rental costs, apparel, event registration fees, and music supplies. So this one is, last year there was an expenditure of just over $62,000. This year they haven't had to go into this fund as much as operating is able to pick it up. So we leave the fund there to let it generate some revenue for next year. Damaged and lost books. These are fees for lost or damaged books, just as it says, but it's also for lost or damaged Chromebooks. They would use these for the repair or replacement costs for either one of those items as they go forward. There hasn't really been any use in this for FY26, so that's why you're seeing it's almost level. It's gone up a little bit.
Yeah, if you remember, we implemented an insurance program for starting this year for students to elect to get insurance for the Chromebooks if they use it one-to-one, and so if they are damaged other than some egregious vandalism, they can get that replacement cost from the insurance.
Evening school, originally set up to support community education programs. I'm going to let Dr. Cabral to explain this a little bit because this was your
So one of the revenue ideas that we have really wanted to get going for some time, but just have not had the finances to do. A lot of times you need to invest in something in order to get the revenue from it. We've been doing that mostly through our programs for students at this point, but we have really, or I have had sort of a vision to have an adult evening program for residents or, they don't have to be parents of students in school, where they could come and have, we have amazing talent in this town, but also amongst our staff, and to pay staff members for whether it's a conversational foreign language or it's using the pottery wheels to make mugs or photography classes for adult adults, as I said. They would pay registration, but we would have to have seed money in order to pay for a coordinator, because that's quite an endeavor. We would also need to have money for instructors and to start us with materials. We have not been able to add to this, but it could potentially be seed money, because again, you can't just take it out and use it for anything. And because it's there for evening school, that would be an appropriate expense for that. If there ever is an opportunity to add to this, it would, depending on how you'd like to go forward, you could potentially use it for seed money for an evening program to generate some kind of revenue for the district.
Academic and club fees fund. This was originally set up for the sports pilot and robotics program at OA, I believe, which no longer is in use. These are just remaining funds that have been carried forward from year to year. And again, they have to be used for a specific use. We'd have to go back and see what that use would be. I don't know the details around that program. And just to clarify that, because we're going to come into some funds that have balances that have just been sitting there for a long time that should be cleaned up. Any fund that we just cancel or close that has a balance in it reverts back to the town's free cash, whatever balance is in there. So it's in our best interest to try to find a way to use these funds for the kids as opposed to just closing them out. And so we might have to do some research on some of these funds. Professional development, another well-used fund. This comes from donations, some miscellaneous revenue, and proceeds from PD programs that are offered, and it strictly goes towards professional development programs that may not be covered by our operating fund. Student transcripts. This one is, again, transcripts were in the testing fund. I think this was set up initially for transcripts, and then for some reason that was all shifted over to the testing fund. So this is a balance that's remaining in this fund. Probably we should transfer that into one fund and close this one out, but it's just a balance that's been carried forward since 2024.
And there's no limitation in transferring this one. We are not limited in the transfer of this one. They are.
I would check on that. I'll double check on that, but we're moving it from one use to the same use just under another fund. I don't foresee an issue, but I would double check on that before we do anything. Minds in Motion Global Child, same thing. This fund was set up years ago, and it's just carrying a $250 balance year over year. So we try to find a way to utilize those for its purpose as best we can for the kids. And then at that point, hopefully close it out. Elementary revolving fund. This is interesting. In 23, my school bucks fees went into this fund. I'm not sure how that worked. In FY25, there were some donations that came in that went into this fund. It was used in 24 for transportation to various trips, like the sheep pasture and things. Right now, it's not in use. What happened was when we took a look at this fund, actually, Sam and I were looking at it, and the donations that came in to BA really should have gone into a gift donations fund, which is a 23. It's not a revolving. It's a totally separate fund. So what we did is we took the balance that was in here, put it where it belongs, and now it's got a zero balance in it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean we have to close it out. It doesn't hurt to have an elementary revolving fund if there's ever a need in the future, but if we don't think there is going to be one, then it might be a fund we want to consider closing out.
Is there any cost to maintain the fund?
No. Nope.
For those of you who remember, we years ago used to have a grade 1 through 6 activity fund of $40 that we were using for the the buses to the NRT and also for the WaterWise program. The WaterWise program now is part of the physical education curriculum, and the NRT is part of the science curriculum. By law, you cannot charge for anything that is a required part of the curriculum, and so we stopped charging that fee a number of years ago. And so obviously the expenses outweighed, even before the $40 really didn't pay fully for that. And so that is why it has gone down. And the only reason it went up is, again, because of a donation.
Right.
But we're going to put that in donation lines.
Insurance revolving, it's pretty much for insurance proceeds from any claims that we may have. There hasn't been any claims. God, we want to keep it that way. It's actually, I've never seen this fund before. I think it's a great idea. So if we ever did have any insurance issues where we had to put a claim in and we got some money for that claim, we'd make sure everything ran through this fund. Right now, it's a zero balance. Miscellaneous revolving fund. I question this fund. I don't think there's anything called a miscellaneous revolving fund. It probably shouldn't exist. There was $95 deposited to this somehow in '26. I think it was a minor reimbursement that we got. They didn't know where to put it, so they put it in here. So we need to do a little research on that. But I am pretty sure that DESE would not, like to see us having a miscellaneous revolving fund, because that doesn't make any sense. There's no real purpose or use requirements around it. But we'll look into this and see what we can do to move that money and then close it out. Okay. There are a couple other funds in here that one seems to be a duplicate. But we'll look at the school athletic fields. It's last been used in 2018. The funding came from gate receipts, and it was used for supplies and materials and some contracted services. It hasn't been used since. It might be a revolving fund that we want to keep. When we talked about athletic gate receipts and the other revolving fund that we're trying to build some field money for the field renovations, if it ever grew to a point we felt like we could move some of that money into here, we probably could with the proper votes and approval, and that would lock it up for just that, just the field use, not that specific field, but just for school athletic fields. But again, this is probably a fund we'd have to go back and research and see why it was set up and what the specific uses would be for. There's also another facilities rental fund that was used from FY10 to FY12 for rental fees. It's fully expended, has been used since. I have a feeling that they weren't aware of it was there, so they set up a new one and started using that new fund. This one probably should be closed out. We don't really have a need for it. So we get into food service. That's under a different chapter, Chapter 548, Section 2 for the School Lunch Act. The school committee of any city or town may establish, maintain, operate, and expend a lunch program for the pupils in any school and may make all contracts necessary in connection therewith. Basically, you can receive and expend funds for the following purpose. You can receive and expend federal funds from the federal government, the state government, and local receipts. The school committee may expend such funds without further appropriation, notwithstanding a provision of Section 53, Chapter 44, on and on. So if you'd like to look that one up, you can. It's interesting reading. Such funds shall be kept in a separate account, which we do, and shall be expended by said school committee for the purpose of the school lunch program, and the school committee may, out of said funds, pay the salaries and wages of food service personnel and for the cost of food supplies and equipment, which is exactly what we use it for. The food service fund, right here, you're going to see that in FY24 it started to go down in value. You can't look at 26 because we don't have all our revenue in yet. All our claims aren't through. And even when your claims get through, sometimes you don't even get those until the final claim until August. It was pretty late last year. And then the town has to get that stuff posted into the system. So, and you need to remember too that Aramark has a guarantee with them of $210,901 that they're guaranteeing, a profit. I don't want to call it a profit, but it is. It's excess of revenue over expenditures. So we should see it come back up and level off. It may dip a little bit because we are looking at the equipment in the district. There's some need in the food service program. There's a lot of non-operational equipment that's been just kind of sitting there, not being used. We want to make sure everything's up and running. Perfect example is the dishwasher at EMS, leaking all over the place, constant repairs. That's going to be replaced this summer. And we're using these funds to do that. Okay.
And you have to remember, we're talking about commercial equipment. So it's not like a dishwasher in your home. These are several thousands of dollars for something like a dishwasher.
So some future considerations. We're going to monitor the long-term sustainability of these special ed revolving balances, evaluate consolidation and closure of those inactive accounts that I pointed out, maintain sufficient balances for athletics and facilities, continue improving transparency and reporting practices. Make sure that you're aware of the activity of these funds as we go forward. Would I do it monthly? I don't think that's a good idea, but we probably quarterly or a couple times a year, we should basically be looking at these together. And that's it, unless there's any questions.
Committee members have any questions for Dr. Spagna? Go ahead, Jim.
I'll just say, I think it's good you're probably doing this, because I have to imagine it's good to clean these up
Yes.
before the Munis migration and just as you're
Absolutely.
getting settled into the role. So thank you. It was very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the level of depth and our ability to look through these. It's been a little bit of a mystery for me since joining school committee, so I appreciate being able to get a good lens into this.
Great.
Yeah, no, this was great. I really appreciate the clarity in your presentation. It was very helpful. I'm curious, when you say with some of the revolving funds, we need to do a little research either to see what these funds were from or whether we can move them. How do you do that research? Where do you look?
It's a really good question. I mean, I think we'd literally have to go back to school committee minutes. I would think that's
And, yeah,
really,
we're going to work with the town as well.
yeah.
There's some a lot of background knowledge there on the town side, so
Okay.
we're hoping they can help us with that.
Okay, great. Thank you very
That'll
much.
be a little bit of work.
I highly encourage you to use AI to search the old school committee minutes.
That's not a.
It might save you some significant time.
Once it's all set, I can dump that into the chat and just say, find me this.
Yes. Yep.
So do you want us to stay here for the fiscal year 26?
I don't have anything to present, so you
Okay.
could stay or it's fine.
Okay, why don't we, since it's not doing a presentation, why don't we go back?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I just noticed that myself.
Okay. Update fiscal year 26 budget. Dr. Cabral.
Thank you. Director Spagna has his regular update on the FY26 budget for you. This is, the report is, it's even hard to read on the paper because.
Oh, you don't have it, the long version.
I don't have the long version, but it's very small. It doesn't really make for appropriate slides, but of course it is public information, so if we can provide that for anybody, we're happy to do so. Director Spagna?
This is just my monthly update where this projection or this update goes through May 5th. So it's missing, still waiting on 2 months of activity. In many cases, it's back to 3 months of activity because we're always behind trying to get things into the system. We're in good shape. You'll notice I did highlight some of the columns under the current activity, the balances. I've been expressing to you that we are going to be going into some deficit lines as we move forward in some of these categories. We're starting to see that now, again, because no budget journal entries have been made as of yet. Matter of fact, I think what will probably end up happening, the best course of action is after the end of the year where we have 90% of our expenses in there, over the summer months is when we would do the bigger journal entries to level out the budget and to reallocate things so it all lines up properly.
Okay.
Okay? But you'll notice that consulting services and miscellaneous services are currently in a deficit position. I did want to mention the excess that you see under, or the unexpended that you see under the employee salaries. Some of that is due to unfilled positions that we've utilized contracted services to cover the needs for the kids while those unfilled positions. So that's what some of that is.
Contracted services comes from a different line. So if we have a specialized teacher, for example, and we haven't been able to hire them and we use a contract to hire them, that comes from a different line other than payroll. It comes from the contracted expenses line. So if you see excess in payroll, you look at the contract expenses, you'll see that one's over. That's the reason for the difference. There's also positions that haven't been filled that we that are hoping to be filled next year, so that you may see that maintained in the budget next year.
So with that, I mean, the budget, this projection does include all the year-end expenditures that that you approved us to move forward on. If it's a PO currently, it's under the encumbrance column. If it's not a PO yet, we're in process of putting it all together. It's in my total expense that I plan to extend from year-end to year-end, from May 6th to June 30th. And I think even after we give the return back to the town of the $447,873, we'll still end in a positive position. We're still in good shape for the fiscal year. And I'd be happy to try to answer any questions if you happen to have any. I tried to give a little bit of a, like we did before, give you some notations on the side on what's included there.
Questions? Did you guys go through this in the budget subcommittee meeting?
Yes. Actually, I have a question.
Sure.
The projected balance at the end of the year, the $862,000 after the turn back and everything.
Yes.
Does that also then go back to the town?
It would. Anything unexpended at the end of the year would be a turn back to the town. And that will continue to change, by the way, just like we talked. Things are going to be in the year-end expenditures. If some of this stuff can't happen because of timing or contracts, that may change the amount too.
Okay.
So that balance is the expenditures that you presented to us?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. We appreciate these monthly updates. They're great.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is schedule of payments. We approved warrants 091S, 092S, and 093S. Next item is the public comment. So once again, if any members of the public here in person wish to make a comment, please raise your hand and you'll be invited to do so. Please state your name and address for the record. All remarks should be addressed to the full committee through the chair. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to state their comment, and we will allow for a total of 15 minutes for public comment. The public comment period is not a time for debate or for the school committee to respond to those comments. We welcome you to email us any questions or additional comments. Mr. Dyer?
Wonderful. Zachary Dyer, President of the Easton Educator Association, 20 Fillmore Street. Good evening. On the heels of Educator Appreciation Week, I want to use my time tonight to stress what appreciation really means. It means wage adjustments that make public service a career worth pursuing. It means remembering that behind every position in this district is a human being with a family of their own. It means taking the time to avoid asking too much from people that by their nature and by the nature of the work they do will sacrifice everything they have for the communities they serve. This district's appreciation of its educators has fallen short of that particular mark. This district recently put its educators on notice that as of next year, they will attempt to force some teachers to work an additional class period every day without compensation. Not only is this, in our view, a dubious legal breach of our contract, it is a moral outrage. The school committee has looked at teachers it claims to appreciate and asked for more and more time and time again, and they have found yet another example of a breaking point. We have, of course, expressed our outrage to the school committee before. We expressed it once again passionately and frankly without apology at the negotiation table after your notice was announced. We then listened to a school committee member criticize our tone, noting that they did not volunteer for an unpaid position on the school committee to be subjected to anger and outrage. I will not necessarily apologize for the tone. The rage and the hurt that you heard at the table on May 5th was well-earned and entirely warranted. We have spoken assertively, we have gathered data, we have attempted every polite way of addressing our concerns, all to go unheard. Not only have we gone unheard, but we have faced even harsher treatment, including a notice that you somehow misconstrued as an invitation to collaboration. Despite that, I listened to you, and I heard you. From where I'm standing, you are understandably frustrated by a position where, despite your best efforts and your personal sacrifice, you are constantly told that you're not doing enough. And on that, you have my sympathy, as every educator knows that exact feeling. Serving on the school committee is a massive undertaking, one which allows you to serve this community selflessly and nobly. You have all made sacrifices in time and energy to be here, and we appreciate that. There's no doubt in my mind that the burnout rates from all acts of public service, including serving on school committees, remain so high because these jobs ask so much of us. When you expressed your rage and your hurt, I heard a reflection of the same struggle that we have faced for years. Despite a tone of voice that was just as hurt and angry as my own, I heard you. Now I hope you will hear me. I do not speak only for myself, but for the nearly 400 educators that I serve. They are hurting, and they feel burnt out, and they feel undervalued. Now the benefit of voluntary public service is that in the event of burnout, one could quit without economic fallout following them home and impacting their lives. At any point, those of you elected to serve in this room could resign and face no financial penalty. Your lights would stay on. Your children would be fed and clothed, and apart from some personal embarrassment, you would remain unscathed. For my members and the educators in this town, that is not an option. When you feel that we are too emotional or too passionate, remember that we are not just fighting for our schools, and we are not just fighting for the students we serve. We are fighting for our very livelihoods. I say none of this to disparage or devalue the sacrifices that you make at this table. I say it all only to help you understand why for Easton's educators, the stakes are often higher. A low COLA that may lead to difficulty in attracting talent for the district, for educators leads to cuts to their very household budgets. The personal is political. I live and die by that. And your policy impacts people. So when you make policy, know that you get to leave that policy behind in under a decade after your noble and wonderful service to this town. My members have to live with it for a lifetime. Rage and hurt, yours and ours, brought us to this juncture, and I hope we can carry each other forward. I ask you today to reconsider your notice, to reconsider your strategy, and to reconsider how you want this district to treat its staff going forward. May this new chapter be marked by a culture where educators feel more like people and less like positions. Thank you.
Does anyone else have a public comment? No? Okay. All right, so next item on the agenda is superintendent notes. Dr. Cabral?
Thank you. I had actually a few things here, so I'm going to try to be brief because I know you have executive session tonight. The first item I had was that we did have a wonderful Educator Appreciation Week last week. I want to thank all of the members of the PACs, the parents, the community partners that worked with us to provide so many wonderful programs, a lot of food, gifts, and shows of appreciation. It was, as usual, it's wonderful to go around the district and see people who are taking the opportunity to express their admiration and thanks for everything that people do. And, as you saw in our meeting this evening, we have a lot of positive things going on, and I'm really happy to have had so many wonderful audience members here to share our joy in the wonderful things that you see developing. The next thing I would like to talk about is the fact that we do have a lot of AP and MCAS exams going on these few weeks. Give some extra love to your AP students and your MCAS students. The state is asking a lot of them, but I was able to talk especially to some AP students after, I guess, in between their tests when they were in the cafeteria having late lunches, and they felt very excited about how they were doing. So looking forward to getting those scores and reports. They were quite positive about them. Speaking of positivity, we had our college signing today for athletes, and thanks to Mary McDonald, our athletic director, for putting that on. It's a nice celebration of students that are going to schools to play athletics. I also love the inclusive nature of hours for all divisions of athletics. And we have our future educator signing next Tuesday, because of the really noble profession of educators and trying to uplift those who are looking to go into the profession. Several years ago, we started assigning for those who are really showing their desire to be future educators, and so that's going to be taking place next Tuesday. We look forward to celebrating that with the students and their families. I want to remind everybody about all the end-of-year ceremonies, celebrations, observations, and awards. You heard our wonderful student representatives talk about how excited they are for these things, and we're excited to celebrate them, particularly our seniors who have 5.5 days left, not that they're counting. The OA student lunch yesterday, so I was able to meet with students during all of the lunch periods yesterday. I was really looking at what was being served, what they were sharing, what they were telling me about the new Aramark food service. I heard a lot of great things. In case you're wondering, the chicken wings, the burgers, the pizza, and the waffle taco item that they had described to us are huge hits. And waffle taco, thank you. Thank you very much. And they are, they're taking all of that information, Aramark, I mean, is taking all that information, and they are making sure that they increase their offerings for that. They're doing those limited time offers, the LTOs, that Ms. Upton talked about, and so I'm excited that the kids are going to get to see more of that in the future now that they're sort of figured out what everybody likes and maybe doesn't like so much. I was actually, like Ms. Upton had said, I did receive more requests for vegetarian dishes and brioche buns on the burgers instead of the buns that they have.
I would agree with that.
Yes. So I'm gonna make sure I let them know about that. We're deep into our transition with Dr. Pruitt. You're going to see she is leading a lot more of the items in things. We have a very short 6 weeks left, and now we're going to be onboarding our new assistant superintendent. So we're going to be training Mrs. Weintraub. I'm going to be working with her. Dr. Pruitt's going to be working with her. So you're going to see Dr. Pruitt taking on even more of a role as the following weeks continue. And I just want to thank again all of the audience members that stayed and are helping us celebrate this really great time of year, the hard work that everybody's doing, and the successful, soon-to-be conclusion of another amazing year in a very remarkable district, honestly, in this country that I'm very proud to serve. So thanks to everybody for that. And thank you all for your support in those endeavors.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent notes, Dr. Pruitt.
Thank you. I wanted to point out that 'tis the season, right? That we have something to do every night for the next few weeks, which is very exciting. And I'm sure all of you will highlight some of those events. So I won't necessarily discuss all of them, but one thing I did want to point out was we had the wonderful opportunity to have Senator Driscoll come and speak to our students this past week. And Dr. Cabral gave him an amazing tour of Blanche Ames. And Mr. Cedarbaum and I followed behind, listening again to it's really just such a reminder of what an achievement Blanche Ames is, and how wonderful it is to have that building for our littles. But when Senator Driscoll spoke to our students at Oliver Ames, it was just remarkable to hear their questions and how concerned they are about just civics, and their civic engagement is remarkable. He will also be back next week to celebrate our Students of the Month at Richardson Olmsted. So we're really excited to have that opportunity with him again. It's also job fair season, and I wanted to point out that Director Napoli has been attending job fairs. Director Davidson attended one as well. And when they report back to us, we have lines of people waiting for the Easton table. So I know that Director DiNapoli at one instance was late attending one of them, and they kept saying, when's the Easton table coming? So it's just really nice to see that there are a lot of people that want to apply to Easton because of our reputation and because of what we draw. We draw a lot of great resumes. And then lastly, I just want to apologize to the committee for not being at town meeting on Monday, May 18th. It is my own commencement from Boston College for my doctoral degree. It is not because I do not care. I will be watching it playback on ECAT, but it is because of the prior commitment I have of 3 years of doctoral work. But that is the only reason why I would have missed it. So just to share that with you. That's what I have.
Thank you. School committee notes. Colleen?
Lots of thoughts, but I think I'm just going to say that. Thank you. I
Repeat offenders.
saying always me. I had the pleasure of attending the Tempo Award ceremony last night, so always a wonderful opportunity to see all of the kids in at Oliver Ames who are participating in band, chorus, orchestra, chamber orchestra, musical, jazz band, tri-am, I'm probably leaving something out, but marching band. Just there's so many kids who are involved in so many different aspects of music at Oliver Ames, which is tremendous, and so many kids who are involved in multiple activities in that area. So just a big shout out to all of the wonderful staff. The kids honored all of them as well after they got their scholarships and awards, and it was very evident how much these students respect and care about the staff who work there.
I don't even, I'm trying to associate all the events that have gone on in the past few weeks. I will let others talk to those. I will keep it simple and wish all of the juniors and all of their dates a wonderful prom tomorrow. Please be safe and have fun. Ladies, pack some change of shoes for comfy shoes. And for the entire town of Easton, please stay away from the library area before 6 p.m. So I'm just going to tell you that there will be cars and people everywhere and girls in heels running across streets. So just stay really far away from that part of the center of town. Just a suggestion. And the clouds, please stay away because there will be tears if that doesn't work out.
Thank you. Lauren?
Well, we've had a very busy, oh, sorry, God.
Sorry, God.
Voice of God. So, since the last school committee meeting, I have had the pleasure of attending a lot of different events. Highlights for me were the Special Olympics, which is always the most perfect day to see the kids do their activities and the pride that they have for themselves and each other is just beautiful. So I encourage anyone to go next year. The weather couldn't have been better. It was just a really, really beautiful morning. Broadway night, 2 nights ago, was, as always, a really fun event to, like Colleen said, this was just singing. There were some musical instruments, but that was a real pleasure to be at. I'll let Mr. Hamilton talk about Junior National Honor Society as the special guest. And there were some other things, but that I won't, that's enough. And congrats to Chrissy on your graduation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Yes, so I had been invited to speak at the National Junior Honor Society induction as a special guest. I was a former member when I was in 8th grade, so it was really nice to kind of go back and have that full circle moment with my parents still in the audience 20 years later. School committee naming subcommittee I haven't talked about in a bit. We still have 2 open spots for anyone who is interested. We are making some progress in assessing, providing a point value to each of the spaces. From there, we are starting to formulate our ideas around prices, to name those spaces, what would that cost? We also are trying to not get too ahead of ourselves, but talking about objects, benches and things like that that aren't necessarily a space. So we're still kind of working through the smaller details of those like smaller items. But it's really coming along. It's really exciting, although we did have to print out one of the spreadsheets for someone to fill out. So
I wonder.
that'll be a labor to translate that into. They will remain nameless, but yes, that'll be a fun project.
Because you're only
Probably
talking about
me.
400
400,
spaces.
500 spaces, yeah. Someone has to tabulate that into the system. So.
Someone being the chair, most
Yes,
likely.
yeah. Town meeting is next Monday. I will be presenting for the Stormwater Committee, so that'll be good for anyone who wants to go and vote or vote whichever way. Just please go to town meeting. And then last, looking forward to the Memorial Day weekend in general, but for the service the town provides during the morning. I don't remember what time, but yeah, I'll be going to that. So that is it for me.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a few things. Okay, the Massachusetts Senate Ways and Means Committee released its budget proposal. They are proposing minimum state aid at $160 per pupil, which is the same amount as the House proposal, different from the governor's proposal. It also fully funds circuit breaker for instructional and transportation costs, which is more than the House proposal, proposes to fully fund charter school reimbursement, and level fund school meals. The proposal also includes funding for a Foundation Budget Review Commission to look at the school funding formula with a report due October 2028. So looking forward to hearing more about that. The new town administrator, Liz Dennehy, was sworn in last week. We're looking forward to working with her, and I'd like to congratulate Craig Barger for his reelection to the Select Board. As Jim noted, town meeting is Monday, May 18th at Oliver Ames. The town administrator budget change memo number 2 is available on the town website. And a reminder that town trash recycle program ends on June 30th, and more information is provided on the town website. And congratulations in advance to
Thank you.
Dr. Pruitt. We're very excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait to see the pictures from your graduation.
Thank you.
And with that, I will make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Easton Educators Association, EEA, Units A and C, and in my opinion, having this discussion in public would be detrimental to the bargaining position of the school committee, and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, to comply with the open meeting law and review executive session minutes of April 16th, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second, Loomis.
Roll call vote.
Crowther, yes.
Pursue, yes.
Wiseman, yes.
Loomis, yes.
Hamilton, yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.